Hi there. Good morning. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. Welcome to 30 minutes of my day. I got a whole bunch of stuff on my desk that I have to get to. Here are the signatures. Now, why are you a little crooked? What's going on here? Oh, I know why, because this page is not quite as tall. That's okay. I don't mind, as you can see here. I don't mind a variety of page sizes in my journals. Okay, so yeah, these are ready to go. They've been in the press. After pressing them down overnight in my book press, I decided I had more room for more pages. Hold on, we're working on the young hare. So I added one more sheet to each signature, and I'm happier with that now. I still have it coming together nicely here so that I can add in maybe some lace. I haven't decided yet. I don't know, but I like what I've got going here. I'm happy with it. I had a question in the comments on my last video about how I space apart my signatures. So I thought, you know what, before I put these back into the press, because I added more papers to them, and I also sewed a little bit of lace here and there, and I think I sewed a ruffle somewhere. So I want to put them back in again and squish them down a bit. So I thought I'd answer that question. Where is it here? So what I do when I'm spacing out my signatures for me is, I think I've mentioned before, it's quite a common thing with book creators, that for every quarter inch of spine, you put in one signature. And then for me, one of my little fussy things is I like uneven signatures because I like to have one signature dead center on my spine. For me, it just makes it easier for me to make sure that I've got my spines evenly fanned out along the signature side. Where's a text block that I can use here? Let me borrow Wenzel here and I'll show you. Out you come, Wenzel. Thank you. So you can see here, there's all kinds of tiny signatures there, teeny, teeny, tiny, all crammed together, which gives such a beautiful look. And for me, I like to have one right in the center, and then I fan out from there for mine. So, all right, Wenzel, back you go. So that's how I determine for mine, and this this particular book, The Young Hare here, or Anatomy and Physiology, is has a 1.5 inch spine. So normally that would mean, for many people, they would put 6 signatures into it. I would prefer to bump mine up to 7 signatures, but put fewer papers per signature, so it still all balances out. In the end, you will end up with the same amount of papers. I've just opted to divide them up a little bit further. And as far as, again, this plays into spacing. Let's look here. Different papers are different thicknesses for different reasons. So sometimes if you've wanted to use scrapbook paper, that's heavier. And sometimes if you use old paper, like this one, it's lighter, it's thinner and lighter. So you almost have to also take into account, when you're looking to see whether your signatures are balanced in how fat they are, is sometimes you may have to have, instead of saying all 7 of these signatures absolutely have 5 pages each in them. Sometimes if you're using thick paper just in one signature, you may put 4 papers in that one, just so that the thickness balances out, so that they all end up being approximately the same width. Another thing that can play into how fat your individual signatures are, each bundle of papers is called a signature, by the way. Tea dyeing can bulk up your paper, because no matter how hard you try to iron them, you just, I don't know anyone that's able to press it as flat as newly pressed undyed paper. So that will also bulk up your paper, which is why you see little ruffles here and there. I like the character that gives, and I like to include sort of a little balance of tea-dyed and not tea-dyed papers in my journals. So that all plays into how I decide whether, you know, the pages will have four sheets of paper, or whether they will have 6 sheets of paper. Is just basically, I start off with the same number, and then as they start evolving, I will play around with them. An envelope will also, a greeting card, anything that's a little bit odd. Here's an envelope here, can also bulk up a signature. Now, Nancy touched on this the other day in her episode. It's funny, these questions are all coming to us at the same time. I think everyone's January, and maybe some people are saying, this is the year I'm going to tackle making my first book, and I hope you do. Everyone has to make the first one, and then you'll probably be addicted like the rest of us. The reason I myself prefer to put more thinner signatures into my books, and I prefer it for 2 reasons. The first reason is once it is sewn in, let's imagine our signatures are sewn, our text block has been glued in to our book. Ooh la la, there it is. What happens is, when you want to open your book, several smaller signatures will open and lay flatter, nicer. So this is especially nice for people who actually do want to be able to write in their journal. It will lay flatter for them. The second reason for me, and probably more important for me because I'm a bit of a fuss budget, is smaller signatures have a more attractive appearance, in my opinion. It doesn't change the functionality. If you're making a book for yourself and you don't care and you want the book put together because you just want to use it, absolutely. I could have made 3 signatures here and just sewn in 3 signatures. This looks much nicer, and it looks closer to actually being a professionally bound book. And I also find that you'd think, oh, but that must be so hard. Actually, it's not, because think about it this way. Let's just say, for example, there are 99 pages here. If I divide the 99 up into 7, there's only a few papers each that I have to try and get my needle through the hole and then through the template. We'll talk about this in a second. It's easier than if I had 33 pages and I'm trying to get that needle through the hole of 33 pages. Sometimes you're really actually making it harder for yourself by putting more and more papers into one signature. A thinner signature will actually sew in either just as easily or easier than if you had a very bulky, thick signature. So you know what? Give it a try. If you're an experienced bookmaker, and but you've never played around with actually putting in more signatures, dividing your pages up more and putting in more signatures, give it a try. I think you will like your finished product better. It really, really looks beautiful. It lays beautifully. It's just a nice thing. Now, as far as my template, oh, Crafty Bibliophile, I believe that is your channel name, and you were asking. And what I do is I create a template, which is what most journal makers do. They create themselves a template, and I draw the lines on for how many signatures. So I'm going to have 7 signatures. And that way, when I'm creating my template to have them evenly spaced, I will put my center line right down the middle of my 1.5-inch spine. And then I fan out from there and just make sure that the remaining signature lines are equally spaced. So we got a 1.5-inch spine, which means that my center line went there, and then I went out. I waffle back and forth in my measurements between imperial measuring and metric. Sometimes metric is just much easier to get a more accurate distancing for your signatures. I'm of that generation where here in Canada, the metric system was introduced while I was in my grade school years. So I started off, I believe it was like grades 1, 2, and 3, measuring in inches and feet and yards. And then they threw us for a loop and said, it's all metric. And we had to learn metric. And for me, I struggled a bit more with it. I sort of can waffle back and forth between metric and what is it, imperial? Is that what it's called? Let me know. Inches and feet. So I still will do the translation in my brain quite often between metric, centimeters and inches. I know that that's 10 centimeters, and don't ask me why. It comes from a previous job I used to do. So, so that's how I would space out where I will put my signatures. And then I usually like to do a 6-hole running stitch, in and out and in and out and in and out. And I will just put, I measure 1 inch and do 1 inch from the bottom, 1 inch, do 1 inch, and then somewhere in the center, I put the other holes. And then you just go through and poke your holes ahead of time. And then I will be eventually poking my holes here using the template that I created for myself for hole poking. And, we'll try and do that on camera tomorrow or another day. But for now, this has got to go in under a brick. I normally would put it into back into my book press, but I don't feel like it right now. So I'm just going to find a book. Any book. Come on. Where's a book? Here we go. I'm just going to put it under a book with my good old handy dandy brick that I always have close by. And I'll just leave it under there while I work on other things today. And that will give it some pressure. As you know, those of you who've been following me, I've always got bricks and rocks on my desk here. So now this, I've been working on my first page, my opening page. And I've got to say, I have found a channel that's new to me. And Kelly, you are absolutely inspiring me with your artistic flair, and I love your style of work. And hold on, Crafty Arts and Paper. Hold on, I've got to find the name. I want to make sure I give your channel. I'll put the link down below, but I want to, Kelly, what's the name? What's your name? What's your name? Book and Paper Arts. So I'll put the link down. Very, very talented artist, very inspiring and informative videos on her process. I have been enthralled with her her collage work and her art journaling. Wonderful. She does such a nice balance of bold modern images and old black and white images and papers and mixed media. Anyhow, I decided, all right, I'm going to do a little tip of the hat to Kelly here. And I decided I want to play with, this is the original first page of Anatomy and Physiology. And that's just screaming out for some collage. But I want it to be simple, but I want it to sort of be a boom, that looks really cool kind of thing. So I backed it onto just some tea-dyed paper because I was worried this thin old paper, I mean, it's 103 years old. So I did not think it would be able to take a whole lot of glue. So I backed it, and I don't mind that. And then I decided, I knew I wanted to use her. She's out of a music book I have from, I think it's 1908. She was an opera singer. Ada Ames? Oh, boy. Now I forget her name. And she was apparently quite popular between 1840 and 1860. Anyhow, I think she's lovely. Look how beautiful. Just lovely. And I love how she's gazing. Kelly does these collages where the characters on her page are interacting with each other, and they get you thinking, I wonder how that came to be. Why is that thing flying by and that person's looking at it and they're considering each other? And anyhow, so I loved how she's gazing up. So I thought, all right, I've got to figure out what I want to do. And I decided she needs some background. And I have this out of a book I have on flowers, a magnolia. And so what my plan is to, this book is not going to have a full spread because this is going to be the first page. And then there's going to be an end paper on this side. Hold on, let me try and explain. Let me find my end papers here. I'm going to run out of time before I even get a chance to work on it. So this would be the end paper. So here's the inside of my book. Text block will go in. End paper will go here. And then my opera singer is going to go like here. So there will be a bit of a ditch here. I thought about putting this paper underneath. Do you know what I mean? And letting that be the front page. I'm not going to. This is my All Sorts book, and I make the rules for my All Sorts books. And this is what I want. But what I am going to do to try and make it like a continuous image is I'm going to put half of this magnolia on the end paper and then half of it on this paper. Do you see what I mean? So I want her there. And then I thought, what do I want her looking up at? There's got to be something in the sky. So I thought of this. I've been saving this for a while. Is he beautiful? And I liked the blue, but it's not the same blue. And then I thought about this little guy because he's got a little bit of blue on his head there, and I thought he was quite handsome. That's a pine cone, in case you're wondering what that is. The picture that I fussy cut him from was pine cone. So I thought about him because he sort of got rusty and blue, and this is sort of rusty colored and blue, and I haven't ruled that out. I played around with this one. I haven't finished fussy cutting it, but it's just not bold enough for my liking. And then I played around with this fellow, who I rather like. He's black and white. And he could be there. She could be gazing up at him. They still weren't. Anyhow, I found this picture. I thought maybe a blackbird would tie her in the black and white here. And originally I thought maybe that, but he's lovely. He's just too big. But then I spotted him up there. And even just him fussy cut, I think would look nice. And I wanted some music. I wanted a little bit more going on in the background. I trimmed this off. It was too floppy, and I wanted the option of putting it somewhere else rather than just there. I might put it down by the side. You can do that when you fussy cut. Don't feel you have to stick with your fussy cut. So I pulled out some music, and of all things, when I opened one of my little books of old music, the song is called Ornithology, which is the study of birds. And I thought, okay, well, you happened for a reason today, music. So I thought it will, by tearing it, this is still the same song. By tearing it, it sort of creates a little bit of movement. Do you know what I mean? Well, we'll see. We'll see. And then this young lady could go here. Like that. And then I've still got this leaf. I have to decide whether I maybe want to put this leaf in behind or in back like that. So I haven't decided yet. So that's what I'm working on this morning, is making this front page more of a wow, a little bit of wow factor. Now I still need to, I've got one little window of paper there that I want out. So let's get to it. I got an exciting email yesterday. I got an email from my mother's nursing home, and it had the PDF file to print off for me to sign for her permission to get the Moderna COVID vaccine. Now, her nursing home has not been chosen yet, but they have started in Toronto. There have been a few nursing homes that have now had their first shot, which is very exciting. So yeah, I'm thrilled about that. They say they don't know when they're going to get it, but they have heard through the grapevine that once you get notified, yes, you've been chosen, your facility will be receiving the vaccine, boom, on this day, and then boom, apparently it can be quite chaotic to there we go, quite chaotic to get everything in motion, to have a day of making sure everyone gets their vaccine. And of course, you don't want to be worrying about permission then when you've got refrigerated vaccines waiting to be injected. So I'm really, really happy about that. Now, I've already just done the sides of these. I don't like when you can see the core of the paper. And I've already done the outsides of the whole thing, but this little bit area, I'm just going in and just putting a little bit of distress ink to darken up that pure white core. Something cool that Kelly does is she uses a charcoal pencil and goes around her fussy cuts with a charcoal pencil, and it really does make them pop. I don't have a charcoal pencil. So, of course, I boom right onto Amazon. My charcoal pencils will be arriving tomorrow. I really, really want to play with that technique. There we go. All right. I'm happy with that. I really do think I just want this little guy. So... I'm going to go get him or her. Put this aside. I wonder if I should pause while I do this, because this really is a waste of my 30 minutes to just fussy cut. Yes, okay, I've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to pause and fussy cut this, and I'll be right back in the blink of a blink. Okay, so I've got him cut out, and I rather like that one. And here she goes. Oh, you'll notice I cut my magnolia in half because, as I mentioned, half of it is going to go on this page, and then half is going to go on the, like that, so that they marry up. Now, I still have this spare leaf. And where do I want to put my spare leaf? I don't want to cover up. I like that I can read the original title of the book. I like that. I love this tear right here. I don't want to cover that up. And I'm wondering if I want to put this back where it almost was. This actually was attached right there, but it would overlap, so I have to adjust the angle a little bit. But I also like the title of that book, Ornithology. So I want to be able to read that. So I wonder if I can just angle it a bit more like that. Then that also connects those two. That's like a little bridge from this part here over to that part there. And that little fella, she's sort of gazing at, wondering where he's off to. Yeah, I like it. How am I for time? Oh my goodness. All right, well, I can get started. I can glue down my ornithology, right? I can get that done. Let's put the little bird here. Let's put our lovely lady over here. And glue stick. Glue stick. Now, because this is a front page, it's going to take a lot of turning. And this is my favorite, as you know, for holding things down, paper. So I'm going to give that corner a little bit of art glitter glue, just for safekeeping. And I may even go across the top and with the glitter glue, just for good measure. You just can't beat it for holding. Let's see. Problem is, you've got to be pretty good about your first plop down, because it will decide that that's where it's staying, whether you like it or not. There we go. So we're not going to finish this page together, but as ever, you know, that's my deal. You get 30 minutes of my day, whatever I happen to be at on those 30 minutes. And that's what today's 30 minutes was. I hope you'll think about trying a journal with smaller signatures. Back to the beginning. We're come full circle, right? That's a little thick. I just want to get some of that off of there. and see if you enjoy the finished result of your journal better by putting in the same amount of papers, just divide it up into more smaller signatures. I think you'll like it. Now this is going to hang over the edge because I wasn't sure where it was going to end up. So I will have to trim a little bit. There we go. I'm going to marry it up here. Follow that. See how that's sticking out. And I knew that it was going to do that. And I could just trim that off. Right there. There we go. Lovely. Now, this part I'm going to have to carefully know where I'm going to put it on this side of the page because this side is taller. And I don't want to have to trim any part of that magnolia. So I'm going to have to know where I want to put this. And I like that part of that leaf that she can tuck in behind it like that. So I think that's where I want that. There goes my alarm. Well, thank you for joining me. And take care. Come on, dismiss. There we go. Sorry, I was trying to turn that thing off. So, take care. Have a good day. Stay safe. And, yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye.